Can you explain why there is no marriage in heaven and what that means with our spouse when we get there?
Okay, let me get to the reference. This is out of Matthew chapter 22, and Jesus is talking with the Sadducees, and they come up with this conundrum for Jesus, where a woman gets married to a number of brothers, and there's 7 brothers, and she's married to each one of them, one after another. They each one die, and then she marries the next brother. And they say to Jesus, the last of all the women died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife of the 7 will she be? For they all had her. And Jesus said, you are mistaken, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of God. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels of God in heaven. And so that's how we know that there is no continuation of the marriage covenant in heaven. So I'm not going to be married to my wife right now, when I get to heaven. I, on purpose, did not say there is no marriage in heaven. There is marriage in heaven. Marriage is a picture of the relationship of the church with Jesus. And so we as the church are like the bride, and Jesus is the bridegroom. And so there is marriage in heaven. We just all happen to be married to Jesus. And so obviously that's a different thing than what we're looking at here. The marriages that we have here are a shadow of that relationship that we're going to have with Christ when we get to heaven. That's why there's no marriage in heaven, because marriage is fulfilled in our relationship with Christ when we go home to be with the Lord. So,
I've had people get really mad about that, and usually it's in the context of, well, the one I'm thinking of specifically is in the context of their marriage is not so good, and they think that when they get to heaven that it's obviously going to be good because sin and stuff is dealt with, and they want to be married. And so what they don't acknowledge is that whatever we have in heaven is better than what we have now.
That's what you always got to remember about this stuff, because people will ask about things in heaven as to whether or not are we still going to have this? Are we still going to have that? And that kind of thing. C.S. Lewis famously talked about sex in heaven, and he said the question, basically, I'm going to paraphrase him. The question is basically like a child asking if sex is as good as chocolate.
Right.
And what the child is doing is taking the thing that he or she likes best, chocolate, and the thing that gives them the most pleasure, chocolate, and trying to see if this thing called sex is comparable to that. And obviously, there's no comparison at all. And so what you've got is a child who is unaware, naive concerning the sexual relationship, and unaware, naive also, unsophisticated concerning the pleasures that are involved, and they don't understand that they don't know what they're talking about, right? And again, it's because they're naive. Well, we don't know what we're talking about when we're talking about heaven. We're naive. Heaven is going to be so much better than what we've got here on earth that it's not even something that you could understand if God explained it all to you. I think that's why heaven is described in just vague terms. In his presence is fullness of joy. I have no idea what that looks like. And at his right pleasure or at his right hand are pleasures forevermore. And so unending pleasure, fullness of joy is what we're talking about. And so my relationship with my wife in heaven is not going to be worse than it is now. It's going to be better than it is now. It's not going to be more distant than it is now. It's going to be closer than it is now. It's not going to be less joyful than it is now. It's going to be more joyful than it is now. Everything's going to be better about my relationship with my wife. I'm just not going to be married to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two, on that, like, we get a new nature, we get a new body, a heavenly body fit for the heavens. We're going to be like him in the sense of Jesus, whatever that means, when he floated up at the ascension or appeared into a room. Like, we're gonna have heavenly bodies. So the desire we have to be married and the physical relationship, all the stuff that we desire, is from an earthly body standpoint. And so our desires could completely change based off how our makeup is with our new body, where we don't even desire those things in the same way, but it's like we've already said, it's going to be better than
Right.
what we have now. So don't stress about it.
Yeah.